Level 1. Tolerated bending. Football has rules against tactical fouls, rules against time wasting, an entire framework built around something called fair play. And every week, in every league, those rules get broken in plain sight. The counterattack is building. Your team is exposed. 3 against 2, midfield scrambling to recover. One well-timed trip resets the entire sequence. Rodri built a career on this risk-reward calculus. At Manchester City, he inherited the role from Fernandinho, the precise art of when to foul, where to foul, how to foul without crossing into recklessness. A clip of the ankle on the halfway line, a tug of the shirt just as the pass releases. Yellow card, no argument. He jogs back into position while his defense reorganizes. In January 2026, playing Bodo Glimt in the Champions League, Rodri picked up 2 yellow cards in under a minute. The first was textbook, a trip on Håkan Evjen to kill a counter. The second was viewed as sloppier because he was already on a yellow card. Unfortunately for Rodri, his muscle memory kicked in and the referee wasn't having it. Goalkeepers understand this principle just as well. When you're protecting a 1-goal lead in a knockout match, time becomes a resource to manage. The ball moves slower, bounces are collected more carefully, distribution takes an extra second, then another. A goal kick that should take 12 seconds stretches to 30. The referee might wave his arms, might even show a card. But by then, 40 seconds have disappeared, and added time is always an estimate. Pundits describe this as game management. Players who refuse to engage in these tactics get called naive, too honest for their own good. The rules exist. They're just not enforced with consistency because everyone has quietly agreed that some bending is part of competitive performance. Fair play bends here, but it doesn't snap. The question is, what happens when bending becomes strategy, when the manipulation gets more deliberate and the referee stops being an authority and becomes a variable to exploit? Level 2. Rewarded manipulation. At level 2, the enforcers become enablers. Watch Harry Kane receive a long ball with a defender behind him. The ball is in the air. The defender jumps to head it clear, and Kane, watching, timing, backs into him at the precise moment of elevation. The defender flips over his shoulder, lands hard, and the whistle blows. Free kick. Sometimes a penalty. During the 2020-21 season, Kane did this to Aaron Cresswell, Adam Lallana, and Gabriel Magalhães across a stretch of weeks. Each time, the defender landed dangerously. Each time, Kane came away with the decision. After the Lallana incident, which earned Spurs a penalty, Martin Keown called it dangerous play on Match of the Day. He looks at his opponent, knows what he is going to do, and makes a back for him. Referees have access to the same footage fans compile. They attend briefings, they review matches. By 2020, Kane's technique was well documented. Years of clips showing the same movement, the same dangerous landings, the same outcomes. And they kept calling it his way. The clips went viral. Pundits called it dangerous. Former referees agreed it should be penalized as a foul by Kane. IFAB issued no guidance. PGMOL changed nothing. Kane moved to Bayern Munich in 2023, and by then the technique had been copied across the league. The betrayal isn't Kane's technique. Players will always push boundaries. The betrayal is an officiating culture that sees the pattern, understands the player's safety risk, and endorses it anyway. The referee is no longer an adjudicator, he's a collaborator. Level 3. Outcome-changing deception. Level 3 is where a single act changes everything. 2002 World Cup. Brazil versus Turkey, group stage. Stoppage time. Brazil lead 2-1 and are running the clock down. Rivaldo stands by the corner flag, in no hurry to take the kick. Turkey's Hakan Ünsal, frustrated, boots the ball toward him. It hits Rivaldo's thigh. Rivaldo collapses, clutching his face. The referee sends Ünsal off, his second yellow. Turkey finish with 9 men. The stadium screen shows the replay. The ball clearly struck Rivaldo's leg, nowhere near his face. The crowd boos. FIFA later fined Rivaldo for simulation. He kept the win. Brazil went on to lift the trophy. That was a group stage match. Both teams still advanced, but Turkey had been pushing even with 10 men, and there was still time on the clock. Rivaldo's simulation killed whatever was left of it. The deception changed a game, even if only in the dying minutes. But what happens when the stakes are everything? 2010 World Cup quarter-final. Ghana are moments from becoming the first African nation to reach a World Cup semi-final. Final minute of extra time. A goalmouth scramble, a header toward goal, and Luis Suarez, a striker, not a goalkeeper, throws both hands at it. Red card. Penalty awarded. Everything by the book. Then Asamoah Gyan steps up. The weight of a continent on his shoulders. He strikes it clean, and it crashes off the crossbar. Suarez, inside the tunnel, heard the roar and celebrated. Uruguay survived, won the shootout 4-2, reached the semi-final. "I made the best save of the tournament," Suarez said afterward. "The hand of God now belongs to me." The rules functioned exactly as designed. Suarez was punished. Ghana received their chance. The system worked. And yet something was taken that can never be returned. Because Suarez had calculated, correctly, that the certain cost of breaking the rule was lower than the potential cost of following it. A red card and a suspension versus a guaranteed goal. A straightforward cost-benefit analysis. He did the math, and he won. There were calls for rule changes. Nothing happened. 12 years later, Suarez faced Ghana again at the 2022 World Cup. Reporters asked if he would apologize. "I don't apologize about that," he said. "The Ghana player missed the penalty, not me." The message was clear. If the risk-reward calculation favors breaking the rules, football will look the other way. Level 4. Reputation overrides reality. Now we enter territory where the same action produces different outcomes depending entirely on who performs it. Referees carry memories onto the pitch. They've seen the briefings, they know which players have histories, and those memories become cognitive filters that distort what they see in real time. In 2012, Sir Alex Ferguson warned Ashley Young publicly, "He's going to have to be careful because people are scrutinizing it now." The thing is, it could be in a really important game where there's a blatant penalty and he'll not get it because he gets a reputation for the diving. Ferguson wasn't speculating. He was describing a mechanism. Young had won penalties controversially against Aston Villa and QPR. The tag stuck, and it followed him for over a decade. In February 2025, now at Everton, Young went down under a challenge from Manchester United's Matthijs de Ligt. Contact was made. The referee initially awarded a penalty. VAR overturned it. The reputation outlasted the player's prime. Arjen Robben experienced the same contamination. By the mid-2000s, the Dutch winger had earned such a reputation for diving that legitimate fouls went uncalled. After his infamous dive against Mexico at the 2014 World Cup, actual contact that would earn other players free kicks produced nothing for him. Or worse, skepticism and waves of "play on." The reputation followed the player. The original penalties stayed on the scoreboard. The same distortion works in reverse, and Casemiro is the clearest example. At Real Madrid, Casemiro spent a decade as one of football's most effective tactical foulers. 336 appearances, 2 red cards, both second yellows, never a straight red. Despite committing the kind of fouls that disrupted transitions, broke up counters, and protected a backline that won 5 Champions League titles. For years, opposing fans said he got away with murder. The disciplinary data suggests they had a point. Then he moved to Manchester United in 2022, and in 37 days he collected 2 straight red cards. The first, grabbing Will Hughes around the neck during a melee against Crystal Palace. The second, a studs-up challenge on Carlos Alcaraz against Southampton. Casemiro left the pitch in tears. Were those red cards wrong? Not necessarily. But here's what exposes the system. In December 2025, Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo grabbed Diogo Dalot around the throat during a match at Old Trafford. A near-identical action to what earned Casemiro his red against Hughes. The referee gave Semenyo a yellow card. VAR didn't intervene. The match ended 4-4. Same stadium, same type of incident. Different player, different outcome. A decade of leniency at Madrid that Casemiro probably didn't deserve, followed by a level of scrutiny at United that other players demonstrably don't face for the same actions. Neither version was fair. The system didn't correct itself, it just shifted who got punished. Article 12 defines fouls identically, regardless of who commits them. But enforcement runs through human perception, and humans carry narrative. Fair play becomes contextual, and context is a weapon that some players wield and others suffer.
Level 5. The crackdown that vanished. This is where the enforcers prove they could fix the problem, then choose not to. In March 2022, Atletico Madrid eliminated Manchester United from the Champions League at Old Trafford. In the final 30 minutes, the ball was in play for 11 minutes and 19 seconds. The referee added 4 minutes of stoppage time. Ralf Rangnick called it a joke. The system called it normal. 2022 World Cup, Qatar. Pierluigi Collina, chairman of FIFA's Referees Committee, announces a new directive. Referees will accurately calculate added time. Every goal celebration, every injury, every substitution, precisely tracked and compensated. What we want to avoid, Collina told reporters, is to have a match with 42, 43, 44, 45 minutes of active play. This is not acceptable. The results were immediate. England versus Iran lasted 117 minutes. The group stage added over 9 hours of stoppage time. Time wasting became genuinely risky. For the first time in decades, the enforcers had addressed football's most obvious integrity problem: the systematic theft of playing time. The Premier League adopted the approach for 2023 to 24. Ball in play time increased by nearly 4 minutes per match. A record 87 goals were scored in stoppage time. The crackdown was working. Then came 2024 to 25. The Premier League introduced a 30-second grace period after goals. Referees would no longer track every second of celebration. The league itself predicted a significant drop in stoppage time. The reason given? Calculation refinement. Player welfare, concerns about fatigue. But the time-wasting tactics that created the problem in the first place, still legal, still happening, still unpunished. UEFA never adopted the crackdown at all. Their chief of football, Zvonimir Boban, called the Premier League's approach absolutely absurd. Euro 2024 and Champions League matches ran shorter than Premier League games. Football's biggest institutions openly disagreeing on whether accurate timekeeping even matters. The enforcers showed they could measure time accurately. They showed they could make time wasting costly. And then they stopped. No announcement that the experiment failed, just a rollback, framed as fine-tuning, while the same institutions continued lecturing players about sportsmanship. They proved the solution existed. Then they shelved it. When the enforcers demonstrate they can protect fair play and choose not to, the message is clear. Fair play was never the priority. Level 6. Institutional double standards. Now we climb into something larger. Betrayals committed not by players, but by the institutions that govern them. Football has financial rules, profit and sustainability, financial fair play. The stated purpose is competitive balance, preventing wealthy owners from simply buying success, ensuring clubs don't collapse under unsustainable debt. Noble goals, uneven enforcement. In November 2023, Everton received a 10-point deduction, the largest in Premier League history, for losses exceeding the permitted threshold by £19.5 million over 3 years. The punishment was later reduced to 6 points on appeal, but the club spent months fighting relegation. Everton fans watched their team slide toward the drop while paying for a stadium they hadn't even finished building. Nottingham Forest received a 4-point deduction in 2024 for breaching the same rules. The math was clear. The punishment was swift.
Meanwhile, Manchester City face 115 charges for alleged financial violations spanning from 2009 to 2018. The accusations range from alleged false accounting and disguised sponsorship to failure to cooperate with investigations over 4 years. The hearing happened between September and December 2024. 10 weeks of testimony. As of today, no verdict, no punishment. City continued winning matches and spending. Since the hearing concluded, they've spent close to £500 million on new players. Everton, meanwhile, were fighting for survival. City have denied all charges, but the delay itself tells a story. Everton's breach was addressed within months. City's case has taken years and counting. And then there's the settlement class. PSG and Manchester City each paid €20 million fines to UEFA in 2014 for financial fair play breaches, the first major penalties under the system. Both faced squad restrictions for European competition. Both continued spending hundreds of millions on players. The fines were absorbed as operating costs. Chelsea has paid multiple UEFA settlements, €10 million in 2023 for incomplete financial information under the previous ownership, €31 million in 2025 for breaking break-even and squad cost rules, the largest single-season fine in UEFA history. Chelsea accepted registration restrictions for the next 2 seasons, but the spending that created the breach had already reshaped their squad. The pattern emerges. Smaller clubs face existential consequences. Larger clubs negotiate settlements and move on. The rules apply differently depending on the leverage you bring to the negotiation. Fair play depends on who you are.
Level 7. Fair play as branding. January 2026. The Africa Cup of Nations final. Morocco versus Senegal in Rabat. What should have been a celebration of African football became a spectacle of institutional absurdity. The pattern started before kickoff and never stopped. Laser pointers from the crowd targeting Senegalese players. Ball boys disrupting play whenever Senegal had momentum. And the towels. Throughout the match, in full view of cameras, Morocco's ball boys repeatedly stole towels from Senegal goalkeeper Edouard Mendy's area. Towels he needed to dry the ball and his gloves in the rain. Backup goalkeeper Yehvan Diouf had to physically wrestle them away from no fewer than 4 ball boys at one point. When the ball boys weren't enough, Moroccan players joined in. Achraf Hakimi threw one towel into the stands. Ismail Saibari got involved too. The same tactic had plagued Nigeria's goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali in the semi-final. Now it was happening again, on the biggest stage with the world watching. Then came the penalty decision. Deep into stoppage time, Morocco were awarded a spot kick after a VAR review for a challenge on Brahim Diaz. The decision came minutes after Senegal had seen a goal by Ismaila Sarr disallowed. Senegal's coach, Pape Thiaw, had seen enough. He ushered his entire team off the pitch and into the dressing room. For 14 minutes, the final stopped. Moroccan players invaded the VAR review area. Senegalese fans threw chairs and clashed with security. Sadio Mane went into the locker room and convinced his teammates to return, telling them, "We will play like men." When play resumed, Diaz stepped up for the penalty and tried a Panenka. Mendy caught it comfortably. Senegal won 1-0 in extra time. Pape Gueye scored with a stunning left-footed strike in the 4th minute of the extra period. CAF officials had watched all of this unfold. The towel theft, the players leaving the bench to interfere, the VAR area invasion, the 14-minute walk-off, the projectiles. Shortly after the final whistle, they announced the tournament awards. The Fair Play trophy went to Morocco. The governing body that had just witnessed all of it looked at the hosts and decided, this is the team that best embodies fair play. In the days that followed, CAF's disciplinary committee announced punishments. $200,000 against Morocco for their ball boys' conduct. $100,000 for players invading the VAR review area. $15,000 for laser pointers. Hakimi received a 2-match suspension. Saibari got 3 matches
and a $100,000 personal fine. Senegal were also punished. $615,000 for the walkout, a 5-match ban for Thiaw, suspensions for Ndiaye and Sarr. The Fair Play trophy stayed with Morocco. This is where the journey ends. Not with exploitation that creates advantage, but with the complete hollowing out of meaning itself. Fair play didn't disappear. It became a trophy you hand out while ignoring what's happening right in front of you. Every competition has grey areas. But there's a difference between a system that struggles to enforce its values and a system that stopped pretending to have them. Subscribe if you want to see where this goes next. And if this video made you reconsider a moment, a decision, a foul, a fine that didn't quite add up, drop it in the comments.